Hey, I'm Steve. The Homebody is a lifestyle guide. Come along with me as I embark upon my journey to engineer my personal and professional work lives into one allowing me to do those things I love in the place I love, all while nurturing my peace of mind. Somehow, I've got to turn this dream lifestyle into a thriving business and brand. So welcome to my front porch, the gateway into my home and safe place, my Roost Refuge. Hey guys, and welcome to Roost Refuge. Today we're going to be talking about the top 10 reasons that shrubs make good choices for containers. I come up on this purely by accident. I wrote a blog about this the other day. I had over-purchased the number of shrubs that I needed for a particular gardening project, and if you're like me, you can't stand to throw away or toss away or dig up plants and not give them a home. And so I was stuck with these shrubs. It was my poor planning that led to the extra shrubs being purchased in the first place. So I wasn't going to return them back to the nursery. So I decided I would just simply put them in a pot back behind stuff until I could find them a home. And over the course of the summer, and yes, I had them for the entire summer, but over the course of the summer, the shrubs started growing, really showing themselves in their new container homes. And so, I was raised, I don't know about you guys, but I was raised in that shrubs were made to be put in the ground, flowers were made to be put in pots. So, I never did the whole planting shrubs in containers, and again, purely by accident, I discovered doing this on my own. Not this great big scientific breakthrough or anything, but it was a breakthrough moment for me. It was life-changing. Literally, it was life-changing, okay? So these shrubs that I had planted in the early spring in the pots, just to keep them alive, and again, I put them somewhere else. When the flowers started dying out in the fall, I was finding that I had these bare places in both my flower gardenings and some places inside my landscape that wasn't looking too good. So I had the thought one day, let me pull these shrubs out of their hidden area kind of behind the building, and I started popping them into some different places in the landscaping, and I really liked how they looked. I didn't take them out of the pots. I kept them in the pots and simply placed them in empty spaces. Things like this one, it would add height into an area that needed height. The smaller ones, I could put in front of particular areas that had much larger plants in the background. So in the foreground, these looked really nice. So anyway, that's how I come by the planting shrubs in containers. Now, I know it's really popular now, and if you look on Pinterest and anywhere else, you can see people's been doing this for a long time. So, this is not a new discovery by any means. But I wanted to share with you some of the reasons why you should consider doing this if you aren't already, okay? So my number one reason is mobility. Pots are so much easier to pick up, and you can either carry them and place them and move them around wherever you want, any time of year, as long as you got spare ones on hand. So yeah, mobility, number one. Now, these are a couple that I planted a couple years ago. I used these along the back steps of my deck. This is just a simple evergreen, and here this one is, and I don't remember the specific name, but it is a dwarf box shrub of some type. And I wanted something that did not grow too fast, because I wanted to keep these in these pots for years. And the great thing is when they do outgrow their pots, I can move these out and then put them into a permanent place in my landscaping. All right, so I want to show you real quick. I'm not going to go through the how to plant shrubs in pots, but I did want to show you these. Again, the pots where they lay, they've gotten kind of dirty. The rocks and stuff that I have inside these, we got leaves that had fallen from the fall. So I'm going to clean these up a little bit and show you kind of how to freshen up the pots as we talk about this. Right. So these particular pots, again, they've been outside all year long, and all I'm going to do, let me move my phone, is we're just going to wash these up a little bit. Now again, pots that are left outside, you know, obviously they're going to weather and they're going to get dirty. And so what I do is just a couple, 3 times a year, I usually wash these. Just to get some of the dirt, the dust, the sediment, some of the splashback that happens, particularly if you don't have these in an area if you don't have these in an area where you're laying on concrete or stone or something like that, so that, what am I trying to say? So that the dirt doesn't splash up on them. Jeez Louise. Now I use, for the rocks, I use a variety of, you know, they could be stone, they could be, I've got some really nice ones recently that were tropical. Yeah, let's edit that out. So what I'm doing right now, I'm just removing some of the white stone that I have in these. I'm going to wash these off a bit. I add these into my pots for a few different reasons. One, aesthetically, I think they look amazing. Particularly, you know, you've got black pots and the white stone. It's very, very contrasty. And it really makes them pop. The other reason is where I live here in South Carolina, I have crazy squirrels. And when I say I have crazy squirrels, I'm telling you, I have never seen squirrels like these in my entire life. I'm limited on what I can grow here because the squirrels eat everything or they dig it up. And so in order to keep the dirts in my pots, I have to cover them with rock to keep the squirrels out. So, but fortunately, I actually like the way this looks. So, for me, it's no hardship. All right, now for our second reason why that we like shrubs in containers, yes, depending on your point of view, I am one of those people that is tacky, and I do like solar lights in my shrubs. I don't consider it tacky. You know, if I put the work into creating my shrub containers and keeping them nice looking, hey, why not added light in them? So one, you can see them after dark, and it adds a really beautiful outdoor focal point when the sun goes down. So, which leads me to the other reason for doing shrubs in containers, is they make great focal points. Depending on where you move them around at, you can take an otherwise humdrum kind of looking area and pop in a shrub container and completely change the look of that area. Some places I've actually put in my shrubs, and from there I built around it. So the plants and everything that I put around those was all to draw more attention to the shrub. So I made it kind of the star of the show. So I'm going to let the rocks here soak just a little bit. Here we are on camera. We have no towels or anything, so this is great. All right. One of the things I love about gardening videos is you don't have to dress up. If you don't look your best, that's okay, because you're working outside. And if you put on some extra pandemic weight, such as I have, carefully placed shrubs, this is not my top 10 list, but carefully placed shrubs can help hide some of the extra weight that you have put on. So I might have to write a whole other blog about that. Alright, so one of the other reasons that I like shrubs in containers is the cost savings factor. Okay? Every year, perennials get more and more expensive, and you know, year after year, every spring comes around, you know, you take out the plants, the dried plants you had from the previous year, and you replace them with new fresh flowers. And that can get very, very expensive year after year. And like everything else right now, particularly with the pandemic, everything is getting more and more expensive. So the fact that you can make one purchase for a shrub to put in your pots or your containers that will live year after year, particularly if you select the right shrubs. A lot are long-lived, and particularly if they're dwarf or smaller shrubs, you can keep those in pots for a long time before they outgrow them. So again, cost savings is a big, big factor with this. Low maintenance. Let's talk about low maintenance. Again, before you purchase any shrubs to put in your pots, do a little bit of homework. You know, if you purchase the wrong type shrub, and again, not every shrub is going to work in a container, but if you purchase the right type shrubs, ones that don't grow too much year after year, again, you can keep them in the pots for a lot longer. You know, you've got many choices on shrubs that you can use. Everything from purchasing something with different colored leaves versus blooming shrubs, but doing a little bit of homework and making sure that what you're purchasing is going to last for a long period of time. Now, normally I would probably rinse these rocks off, but you know, we are on video here. Time is of the essence. So I'm just going to start putting these in here. I am using a natural cleaner. Normally, I would like to rinse any type of chemicals off of the rock. But this being all natural, I'm not worried about them harming the plant in any way. So I'm just going to line the bottom of the container again. Hopefully this will keep my squirrels out of here. While we're doing that, let's talk about another benefit of shrubs in containers. That being used as frames or anchors. Now what I mean by that, I apologize for the traffic. What I mean by that is using shrubs like at entryways, at the bottom of doorsteps. You know, probably historically, the place that you primarily saw shrubs in containers was the very affluent, you know, that could afford these big gigantic pots with these shrubs or even trees in the front, and you would see them in these lavish neighborhoods. You know, as you pulled in, you know, you're greeted by these giant containers. It's probably one of the first places I can remember ever. And they were usually some really beautiful evergreen type shrubs. But now with containers being made from different materials, it's not just limited to the very affluent. So anyone can do these, and any size will work. Rinse this off a little bit. You can notice we're not fancy here, okay? I'm just working on the patio table. Any work area is fine. All right. So we're going to let that rinse. We're going to let that dry a little bit. Dry my hands on my pants. I told you we are top notch. So let's edit that part out and start again. So the benefits of using shrubs in containers. Among the other ones is, again, if you do your homework and you have picked shrubs that do not grow too fast, and you've picked a nice size pot to give them room to grow, you can get many years out of these without having to do anything. Now, I will tell you, there have been times that I have used shrubs and I bought them on purpose. I knew they were going to be very short-lived in the pots. They were going to outgrow them very quickly. And that's okay. I was willing to put in the extra work. You know, trimming them up a little bit, you know, when they started outgrowing. As long as they didn't get too root bound in the pot, they were okay. You know, once the dirt and stuff starts getting pretty tight in there, and you can usually tell when the shrub is outgrown its container. You can either put it in a larger container or move it to its where its permanent home is going to be. But I've done a few of those when I knew, you know, as soon as, you know, a couple years goes by, as soon as this outgrows this container, I already had a home plan for those. And again, it's totally based on your preference of what you want to do. I personally, I like to plant it and forget it, which is another reason I like shrubs. Again, they don't generally require as much care. They're a little more drought tolerant, so, you know, if I miss a few days of watering, I generally don't have to worry you know, about the plant dying on me. As a matter of fact, this evergreen and this shrub, where they live, honestly, there are probably weeks at a time that they go without water. Shame on me, but clearly they don't miss me. And they do well without it. Not every shrub would be able to do that, but these in particular seem to do very well. A couple other things about the shrubs. At nighttime, again, I kind of mentioned my how I do like putting in solar lights or some sort of lighting feature in my shrubs. But even better than that, during the holidays, Christmas, Halloween, because these are much more sturdier plants than just plain flowers, they can hold decorations. So it gives you another place or another excuse to do outdoor decorating for the holidays. So whether you're, you know, wrapping lights or whether it's utensils or ornaments or something like that, these can support that very well. So another reason for using those. We mentioned the outdoor lighting, we mentioned the holidays. The other is, and again, this was another reason that I become sold on these, in the winter months. I don't know about you, but I cannot stand looking outside and seeing empty flower beds, empty gardens. You know, it just looks so drab and dead. And, you know, I like to have a little bit of keep some cheer as best I can in the cold months. So any type of evergreens that you use in your shrub containers, depending on where you live, you know, in your climate, these are usually pretty tolerant to cold weather, or at least a lot more tolerant than, you know, obviously the flowers that die in the fall. But they do keep an element of color in your landscaping. Some of the shrubs, you know, particularly, I'm sitting here looking at some shrubs I've got now behind the camera, those with purple leaves. I've got some planted here in the permanent landscaping. The name is, I'm drawing a blank on the name, Fire. They're a type of they call them a type of fire shrub. In the fall, when the temperatures change colors, the leaves turn red. So using, you know, different types of plants that have different color variations in the leaves that, you know, stay plentiful during the winter, really can make a difference in your flower beds, and particularly your entranceways. You know, having live plants, you know, at your entryways, whether it's going into, you know, the entrance into your home, or, you know, at the bottom of the steps, or, you know, stairways, they look really well. Okay, another great thing about planting shrubs in pots, and particularly if you're in a place that you have a lot of these, what I like to do is, whatever landscaping that I have around my home, I like to have a few extras in pots. The reason for that is, one, if one of my permanent ones dies, I have an immediate replacement, okay? And going back to the economical tips about shrubs, when you buy shrubs and they're small, they don't cost as much. And if you're trying to buy a more mature shrub to replace, one that has, you know, died or diseased in your permanent landscaping, if you're going to buy one of similar size, you're going to pay an absolute fortune. So having some of these ready-made spare tires that you can just pull out of another location and remove them from the pots and put them into the landscaping helps fill up that space. And you know, if you purchase them around the same time, actually they may be almost as big or bigger than the permanent landscaping you've got in place. This behind me here, if you can see that, is a shrub that I have around my house. This just happened to be an extra one that I popped into a pot, didn't know what to do with it. I use this little bad boy. I move him around as necessary to fill in empty spaces, which I love. And if something happens to one of my permanent in-ground shrubs, I have a replacement ready to go. Now, I don't know how much buying a shrub this size of this particular variety would cost. I know when I bought them, they were not much bigger than this, and I think they were probably about $8.99 each. I have tons of those around 3 sides of my home. Now, this is probably, I don't know, 7-10 times bigger than what it was when I purchased it. I can never afford to replace that. And if you're like me and you've got a shrub that dies in your permanent area and you have to replace it, you don't want, if you can avoid it, mature shrub, little new one, mature shrub. You know, you've got all this space. It messes with the feng shui of your landscaping, for goodness sakes. So yes, so for that reason, that those make really, really good replacements. So big tip on cost savings and having immediate replacements. You know, because depending on the time of year, sometimes you can't even find replacements in the store, and it would really, you know, I'm being a perfectionist. It really bugged me to see that blank space, knowing I have to wait to fill it up until the springtime if I did not have a nice container shrub to pull out from somewhere else and put in there. Okay. So another positive reason for planting shrubs in containers is that, you know, I have stopped and looked at reason number 10 at least 5 different times. For the life of me, I cannot remember. It is so, I've got it. Okay. Woo-hoo. If you're familiar with the thrill, fill, spill concept of container art, I call it container art because I really think of it as kind of an art form. You've heard people talk about doing the 3 layers on pot containers. I cannot talk today. So what that is again, thrill, fill, spill. You have a very, very large plant in the pot. It's usually very tall. That's your thrill. Fill is what is lining they're planted even with the pot. They're not as tall as the thrill, but they're going to fill the container of the pot, be it flowers or shrubs or whatever. And then spill is usually a type of trellising plant that you put along so it drapes over the edge of the pot. And you've seen those. I mean, they are absolutely beautiful. So what I wanted to say about that is, instead of replacing all the flowers in the pots every summer, particularly if you're using the thrill, spill, fill style of decorating containers, is that if one or more of those elements is a shrub, you do not have to replace that every year. Okay? So, for example, this large container here, let me move my phone out of the way. This large container here would be a great pot for this being the thrill, the tall element. I could place flowers around the bottom of the container for the fill effect, so they would grow up and fill around, and then some type of trellising flower that would run off of the sides. And you know, that can be a flowering plant, that can be, I love colored vines, sweet potato vines. I love sweet potato vines. You know, they're in the different colors of purples and greens and whatnot, and those things can grow out way out away from the container and add just a whole other element to the design. So if I was using this one would be my thrill effect. I would buy the perennials for the spill and the thrill. I would buy this container. Let's start again. This container, this plant would serve as the thrill. I would buy perennials as the fill and the spill elements. If I was using this, you want to make sure you've got a container big enough to house all these plants. So that's why I'm kind of looking at this one, you know, as the example. This one I would use as my fill effect, and then I would plant maybe along the back. I would do a thrill plant, something that would grow much taller, and then in the front I would probably do a trellising plant of some type for my spill effect. So using shrubs as part of your permanent decor in these pots, again, can save you a lot of money. And generally that is something I would normally do. These particular ones where they are housed, again, they're in direct sunlight, full sunlight all day long in South Carolina heat. I probably would have a difficult time keeping the actual perennial, because they are so fragile, keeping those alive in that particular location. Now I'm going to grab the camera here real quick, and I'm just going to show you a couple other things. Please do not judge me on anything that you may see in my yard. We are not fancy here, we are not rich here, but I did want to show you a couple of things. So here is another container that I have. This is in a very shaded area. Again, I've got an evergreen in the top, part of my thrill, and for the spill and the fill, I am using ivy. Okay, so I'm having the ivy, and you can see here how it is grown, and I've actually cut this back about 5 feet, and I just love the way it fills up the area. I actually have another one that kind of grown together here. Now I don't have a permanent shrub in this pot. I do have my my annual hostas in this, and a couple other different green leaf plants, and you can see how this is all running together. That's my little fern there that I'm nursing back to health. So alright, so I do have these. Again, these used to be in a fully sun area, and I would always plant marigolds or something, orange flowers to go with the orange pots at our real estate office. Again, another pot I'm trying to nurse back to health. See, I cannot throw plants away. Alright, and then over here I've got another one of these. Now I'm using these as I mentioned earlier, the anchor or framing. So each one of those on this little patio area. Again, this is just an out building area here for my sister. Again, here is the large container pot that I move all over the yard, depending on what space I need to fill with them. So yeah, hope you've enjoyed this. I'm going to show you a couple other things around the yard, so just hold on. Alright, so there'll probably be another video on this at some point in time. I just finished working on this weekend. This is a very large area dividing the two properties between me and my neighbor, and this used to be a bamboo jungle that I cut out and have reclaimed the yard, and am now putting shrubs. So these are very, very small shrubs, and I'm going to talk about how these shrubs cost me no money whatsoever. I'm going to tell you how to do that perhaps in the next video. And again, I could not possibly afford at this point in time all the shrubs it's going to take to fill that area up. So look forward to that. Alright, so it looks like the good folks of Amazon have come by and delivered me a package. So I did want to show you these. These are new evergreens that I planted this year. I have one of these on each side of the entryway into my porch. Do not look at the black smear on that column back there. Yes, I know it's there. Doesn't wipe off. It's got to be painted over. Just haven't gotten to it. So let me back up here a little bit. And then over here is the companion to that. Now these are very small evergreens. You'll notice I do have a different kind of rock in this one. These are gray. I wanted something a little more contrasty. Again, I'm tired of cleaning up the dirt each morning I come out that the squirrels have spilled on the on the steps. So I'm hoping in a couple years those will really look nice, not quite as small as they are now. Now, if we're talking about Roost and Refuge, I want to show you, this is just a glimpse of our Roost and Refuge. Our home, where we live, where we work from home. My goal is at some point in time to have a place out in the country. That's why I'm starting this. Anybody's got tips on helping me to get there faster, please let me know. But we're growing our YouTube page, our brand, and the goal is we want to be out in the country where we can have some very large gardens, large flowers, orchards. I miss having an orchard. So anyway, just want to show you our southern home. Here's one of the flower beds that I've recently been working on. It's kind of a hodgepodge, a mix of different types of flowers. We'll talk more about that later. Some years I'll do one color, other years like this year, it just felt good to have, you know, a nice variety. Some of my Gerber daisies I planted for my sister. It's one of her favorites. Okay guys, so before we close up, I just wanted to show you this and ask if anyone has had experience with these before. These are knockout roses, but they are mini knockout roses, and I absolutely love this. I haven't had much luck with knockout roses in South Carolina because they just can't seem to thrive in the heat. But these are new. I've had these for a few weeks. I decided to try them in some pots. Let me know if you have tried these and what kind of results you've had. Again, so far I'm really happy, but obviously it's still very early in the season. Hey guys, okay, so I thought I was done, but real quick, I'm going to try something different. I'm going to do this on camera, and we'll do a follow-up about this later on. Okay, so as I was pulling everything out in preparation of the video, one thing I got to thinking about, and actually I just covered a lot of it up, were the scuff marks that I have on some of these pots and what I could do about that. I just happened to look up and love this product, Insane Shine Tire Coating. I use this on my car's tires, and I thought, why not? These are plastic pots. Let's see how this will do. And so far, the parts that I'm seeing, I am really liking. Okay. Again, if you'll remind me, we'll do maybe some follow-ups later on. If it don't work, I'll just take a degreaser or something and we'll cover it up. But I'm pretty excited about this idea. I'm not afraid to take chances. I'm such a rebel. Of course, normally I don't like to take these kind of chances on camera. But, okay, I just noticed, if you're wondering about the green diamonds, okay, I actually do keep these turned away. I use that as the back of my pots. These are recycled pots that I have not repainted yet. My mom actually had these, and that particular green, she had that element throughout her front porch. And so she added those painted diamonds on there, and they looked amazing. They don't go with anything here at my house, so I just turn that side around. I do have a lot of paint and whatnot that I'm getting prepared for painting all my mismatched pots that I've got around. So there I'm putting my very tasteful solar lights back in my pots. The other thing again that I use these for is the fact that particularly the spotlights are designed to shine on the steps going up into my house. I'm not graceful by any means, and I'm very likely to fall down trying to walk upstairs in the dark because I can't do it in the light. So another reason for adding those spotlights in there, safety. See, now we got another thing we need to add to our reasons for putting shrubs in containers. You know, they camouflage the lights that are great for your safety. All right, P.S. If you're going to put tire shine on your pots, one, do not water the pot before you move it. It makes it really heavy. Two, wet insane shine tire coating is very slippery. So it's very difficult to carry these pots to where they normally sit when they're all wet and shiny from the tire shine. So, learning moment. Spray the tire shine on the pot if you dare try this. Again, wait till I let you know whether this really works or not. But do it in the permanent location where you are putting the pot. Because I'm going to have to spray it again and try to get the fingerprints off, assuming I can get it where it needs to go without it slipping out of my hand like the last one nearly did. Okay, every time I think I'm done, I am not. I'm like a bad date that won't go away. So anyway, I have got these moved. I got a couple new papers that I have put down. On this side, I don't know how well you can see that out here in the direct sunlight, but I'll tell you, the pots look really, really good. Got to turn the other one around. I can see those green diamonds, but I think they look really good. Over on this side, I have 3 that have not been cleaned, and you can probably tell a big difference. Have not been cleaned out yet or shined up, but again, this is kind of air the home. Not a lot of people see it back of the house. It's not been a huge priority in the remodeling of this home. It's one of the last steps to do. But yeah, I just wanted to see how those frame the back and how they look in their normal location. Thank you. So anyway, guys, I hope you have enjoyed this. More to come on different types of shrubs. Let me know if there's something that you would like to see. A reminder again, we are poor people on a poor man's budget, so we are doing landscaping and gardening on a dime. But lots of other things coming that are just not related to like home improvement and those type things. We're going to be doing some segments on, you know, following your dreams and following your passions, how to work from home and make that a permanent part of your life. I don't know about you, but I am so tired of the 9 to 5. I am so tired of working for other people. I just don't want to do it anymore, and I want to be able to fill my days working on those things that I'm very passionate about. And what a life. So that's what I'm working toward, and we've got big goals, we've got big dreams. I'm going to share those with you, what I want to accomplish, and hopefully you can come along on the journey. And I'm sure many of you guys probably have already done it and made it, and may have some tips and stuff to help me get there faster. You know, I'm 52, I'm not getting any younger, so I really want my big house with a big yard and my orchard while I can still enjoy working in the garden. So yeah, so that's where we're at. And you know, as we go along with the videos, hopefully I'm going to get better at this. I'm working really hard at stopping saying so please don't count, please don't ding me, just know I am working on it, and I know it is a shortcoming, but I'm not going to let it prevent me from putting all this out there for you guys. So please come along on the journey, and you know, in typical YouTube fashion, please hit like and hit subscribe so that you can stay tuned. It really helps our channel, blah blah blah. Okay guys, so anyway, you have a great day, and I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thanks again.